Hey YouTube, finally back with some more finals gameplay from our local scene. I know that I originally wanted to consistently upload once a week, but I didn't go 1 week, forgot to record 1 week, and I think the other recording was a bricked game, so it wasn't really anything crazy to record, but finally back. I'm gonna try and be as consistent as possible. We'll see if tomorrow's Tokyo Ghoul event kind of impedes on that, but anything that I do for finals, I'm going to try and do a voiceover to kind of explain what I'm seeing and whatnot. I might try and get some free play games to just have some stuff here on YouTube for you all. Today's finals was Jay on Blue Sword Online, and then I made it on Purple Shadow Army for solo leveling. Beginning turns pretty typical, just dropping the zeros, and then of course the look at the top two and then pitch once you have a Shadow Army on my side here. Typical first few turns is always just setting up the board, so nothing too crazy or exciting tends to happen there. For Shadow Army, I know that turns 2 and 3 tend to be a little clunky because of the double energy and then the setup that you have, so going second always feels to be pretty good. I was pretty worried here because Jay always plays this Blue Sword Art Online deck, or he did in the past, and when he did, he was a monster on it. So it kind of reminds me of like a blue version of Kenshin where they get so many swings in. So here he has a pretty solid opportunity to take a good chunk of life off. So double attack with that raid Kirito there. I know a solid trigger since my board is pretty empty. So 3 checks there. I get lucky here and hit a purple trigger. So I was able to bring back a Sungjin Woo to my front line there. So starting off with the 3 AP turn, pretty well here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, there we go. I was like, what is going on? I know, like, here after we both hit 3 AP, the game started getting, pretty good and pretty spicy. I hadn't seen the deck in a hot minute, so I had to constantly ask Jay what was going on with Kirito's. I know some of the, do some swaps with Asuna, some do double attacks. So just wanted to make sure that I knew what I was dealing with going into the next play. Push up some of the little babies to the front so I can have a bit of a wall. Excuse me. Set up the domain event card. Card's really good, especially when you have multiple of them and then you get to reactivate them. Your little tiny board of little shadows get pretty big pretty quick. Let's see. I think right here I was debating on going ham, because I believe I had 2 finals in hand at this point, and then I think I just opted for a setup turn, and I wanted to be as defensive as possible. Going to the 4-cost raid. I don't think a lot of people run this in the Shadow deck, but I think it's pretty solid to help you grab back some babies from the trash and get rid of things that you maybe don't need. Hit the raid trigger off the attack there. And swing in with this guy. I believe he's at 3. He was at 3k, and then the other one gets whipped. All right, Jay takes an AP draw, and then he drops down a Kirito, plays the sandwich to get the restand there. Keep on staring at these Tokidoki cards that I'm using for APs. One of our local players started buying packs, and then they went crazy and spread like wildfire through the community, so everyone has a whole bunch of those that we're using for APs now. I think Jay's just kind of explaining what's going on with some of his cards, since I completely forgot what they did at that point. So uses the special to take out the Sungjin Woo, then raids into another double attacker Kirito. Gets the active trigger, so I get a free block, and then still take 2 hits. So 2 live to 5 here. Game gets into that little bit of mid to late game state. I think I had a lot of different options here, so I was trying to plan everything out and then make sure I didn't have the Sungjin Woo in trash that lets you replace it with the Shadow Army card. I think one of the cool things about the Shadow Army deck is sometimes it feels like you're on the back foot, especially after you lose your kind of like wall of blockers in the front. But because of the special card that lets you rebuild the board and things like that, you can typically have a pretty solid reset. And I'm pretty sure that's what happens here. I'm trying to remember. So set the Tusk up in back line. Yeah, there you go. So use this special to play out 2 shadows. Really good to kind of build up that wall, especially against a deck that can do, I think Jay was joking around before we started the game, and I believe that deck can do up to 7 swings, which is really scary. And then use the effect of that Sunjin Wu in the trash to add it to hand by ditching a Shadow Army card. And then play it on the back. I think I did that just so I can hopefully set up for next turn. Swing here, debating on using the Kaisel effect. Swing and use the Kaisel effect so that it can't be blocked by a 4K, hit a final, and then pass turn. So here I'm finally set up. His board just looks like a 3K and a 4K. So I thought I was okay here. Even though having 2 life against a deck that can do so many swings is always really scary. I think here, since we're like at the tail end of the game, I'm wondering if I want to take the hit. I didn't remember if anything in that deck had impact or not. I believe it was the Asuna. So I get another active trigger here, I'm able to buff something up so I don't take another hit. I mean, I would have blocked it regardless because I kind of had to at that point. In hindsight, I probably should have just blocked with the baby anyways, because I think on this turn, like obviously something is going to get replaced. I believe I went for the AP draw right there at the beginning. And just trying to map out how I could potentially win here. So play a Beru on the front line, buff everything up in the front, and then play the 12-drop Ascension Move Raid so I can restand the Beru and the event card. So now everything's plus 2K. Here looks pretty good because of the fact that Beru can swing twice with the setup that I have here. And then I have the impact and snipe. So if only I didn't hit a special. So that felt really bad after that setup. So go ahead and use the swap effect of the Sungjin Woo so that I can get the snipe off, ensure that I get that impact. So I got that there. Swing here with a 4K tank. Give him another raid there to hand. And then I do this even though it doesn't necessarily matter because the Asuna is 3K. So swing there. Asuna is going to block into the 4K tank because of the Monarch card. And then pass turn. I think like going into this turn after hitting that special, I was like, oh great, he's just gonna push everything up and then absolutely obliterate my face. But Jay takes the smarter move here. Pushing up is always like super easy to do, but I've personally been in the position where I've done that and then hit specials. I have a joke going on with one of our other local players, LJ, where I did that to him, and I actually ran into double finals in life and then proceeded to lose the game because I had no energy line. So Jay takes the time to kind of map out this play to do as much damage as he can. The game's pretty solid here where we're both at 1 life each. I think the games that end up like this are the funnest to me because the final turns really matter to see, you know, who can either make it out on top, and then it gets crazier if one of those ends up ever being a final. So Jay ends up going into the double attacker Kirito raid right there. I believe that's the double attacker. Oh no, that's the swapper. I think after that guy attacks, he swaps with a Asuna. So I'm just trying to think in my head here if he's gonna have 3 or 4 swings. And at this point, I figure that somehow that deck is gonna spit out 4. And then that was it right there. So that's the double attack Kirito. So my board's gonna get smacked, and this is where he's just fully explaining what happened. So block the first attack, block the second attack from the double attacker, block the third attack with the Kirito, and then he swaps with Asuna and swings for game. Thanks for watching.